The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. Welcome back to another edition of Dirty Mo-Do. It is a bunch of displaced talent. This week we have me back in my office, as normally, host Steve Letarte. We have the professor in the lab. Tampa Timms, has been kicked out of the Dirty Mo studio, and now he's in the DBC. He's in the Door Bumper Clear studio, which apparently has about the same quality internet as Dirty Mo-Do. We've been searching for internet. And then producer Trav, I think he's at home. I think they said he couldn't drink at work, so he just stayed home, and he's got a cold, frosty silver bullet in his hands.
Bingo. This is not the one that was in William Byron's filter, though.
No, it was. You're sure about that?
I'm positive.
Well, let's talk about Vegas. Professor, you had it nailed. You were one trash bag away from looking like a genius, and it wasn't even a mini trash. It wasn't listen, this wasn't no bathroom trash bag. This was like 55-gallon drum, concessions trash bag.
That's your tailgate trash bag.
It was unbelievable. Let's talk about it. Give me the recap, because I see the smile. I know it was good.
Well, so the top 4 finishers were all predicted in the top 6 in the predictor. We did 6 of the top 10, and like you said, we were a trash bag away from being really good. Why didn't they throw the caution for the trash bag?
Normally I would say debris, like trash and stuff shouldn't be a caution. In hindsight, that's a big piece, and maybe NASCAR will have to look at it. They've thrown cautions before when, banners come off the wall. That's the only thing I can equate to, this size of stuff. Although Regan Smith will disagree because the windshield tear-off's about the same size, and we blew up at the 600 for a windshield tear-off. But, that's a good question. I don't know why they didn't. I guess they thought, much like I thought, much like everybody thought, the turbulence would just blow it off the track. Unfortunately, it didn't. That's the predictor. Now let's talk about the real stuff that matters. Tampa Timms, are you in a different studio because you can't pay rent? What happened this weekend? Please tell me you cashed in.
We cashed in. Justin Haley got us one spot over Derek Kraus. That was huge.
The lock of the century. That was anything but a lock.
What a riveting battle for 27th, 26th.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had Larson all the way. I hammered him. I put 4 units on him. I knew he was going to win, and that was the big payout.
I won't lie. I had a little Twitter battle with a few people, and I said that was the lock. I've never been on NASCAR.com scrolling to the bottom page of timing and scoring with 5 to go more than I was in this race. My wife's like, yeah, but Larson's leading. I don't care about Larson. I need to go down here and see where this Kraus-Haley battle is. She goes, why do you care? I was like, because I've been called out on Twitter, and I have nothing, but I'm going to have to just, you're going to have to just fall on your sword if you got this one wrong.
Yeah, somebody put a $150 bet on that. I was like, wow.
Boom. How about it, Trav? We get. I saw a bunch of stuff on social. We get any other great
So we
bets
had one person put 150, and I'm like, man, I know we recommend some bets, but I don't think we're going to ever recommend 150 on that one. We did have guy George Fernald. He had Gregson top 10.
I didn't have that one. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And then Brian L., he got $10 on Raja Caruth trucks.
Speaking of Raja, happy for the guy. Listen, he's been he's relatively new actually. How many starts, Professor? He's under 30, right? How many starts?
30, right at
30 starts.
Was.
You know what I love when a guy gets his first win? First of all, a win's a win, a win. But I want somebody's first win to be like that. What I mean by that is, it wasn't a fuel mileage, it wasn't a big wreck, it was an ass whipping. He qualified well, he ran up front all day, so I mean that's you put that first win trophy in your house, you want to be able to tell. You don't want to be like, yeah, guys, we stretched our fuel and we beat you want to be like, no, I whipped their ass.
And you beat Kyle Busch.
And Christopher Bell.
I love it. I got a couple things to discuss before we leave Las Vegas, though. Where do we stand on Alex Bowman now? I'm a little concerned.
Nope. Don't look here.
I'm a little concerned. Okay, Professor, just so you know, you shaking your head doesn't come across well on a podcast. You got to verbalize
He's
that.
dead to me. He's dead to me. I gave him a chance. Everything lined up for him. I was all in on Bowman, and he's dead to me.
All right. Well, I'm not going to make light of this. I hear what you're saying. I know you're not making light of it. But, man, I hope he turns it around, right? This is a guy that was always overlooked, yet somehow always won 2 or 3 races a year, right? That's fair, Professor, right? Nobody said, yeah. Bowman's the guy, right? But he would find 2 or 3 wins, which is not shabby, right? That is like superstar-level wins. Was hurt last year in a sprint car, and I'm not going to equate it to the injury, but I will say factually, post-injury, his numbers have dropped. Now, whether that's the next gen car, I don't know why. It's impossible unless you're in that group, unless you're in those team meetings, unless you literally sit down with Alex and ask how they're driving. We don't know what's happening, but his numbers post-injury have dropped. I see the fingers dabbling on the ivories. What you got for me, Professor?
Yeah, well, he was leading the points when he got hurt last year. Like, he had top 10s in, I think, 5 of the first 6 races, something like that. And then it's, since he came back from his injury, I think he has 4 top 10s total.
The reason I want to focus on Bowman is because we're going somewhere where Alex Bowman kind of jumped on the scene, right? He filled in for Dale Jr. at Phoenix back in the 88 days, had a monster run. He is an Arizona driver, and he always runs well in the desert. And when I look at the books, I think the books, much like our, I'm still searching the books. Much like our man, the Professor, the books are kind of done with Bowman as well. They got it 40-1 all of a sudden to win, plus 150 for top 10s. I mean, the books don't believe it. So let's move right along to Phoenix. We're going to see where Bowman ends up in the predictor. Let me guess. Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Kyle Larson, somewhere near the top of the predictor.
1, 2, 3.
I could see that. Who else you got up near the top?
I got Joey Logano. That'd be my top tier. And then Ross Chastain, my guy Truex, Denny Hamlin, and Christopher Bell.
Oh, my guy, finally.
Oh, he finally admits it. So it's Toyota heavy. We have 3. No, I take that back. All 4 Gibbs cars? No, I'm missing one.
Ty Gibbs, which
Ty's out. 3 of the top. Okay.
He's one that we don't have enough data on, but he was very impressive last week at Vegas. So
let's start with not the top 4 in the predictor: Blaney, Byron, Larson, Logano. I guess here's my question. I don't want to glass them over. Does anybody on this podcast think that Blaney, Byron, and Larson shouldn't be tier 1 drivers?
No.
All right, we're moving along then. Let's talk Logano, because you have him tier 1. Qualifying has not been an issue this year. He's a qualifying machine, but his race pace has, I can't say. It's one race. I'm not taking the speedways into account. But the race pace at Vegas was not what he had hoped versus qualifying. Sell me on Logano being tier 1 at Phoenix.
Well, he's got 3 Phoenix wins. He's finished top 10 in 2 of the last 5, I think. Or two of the 4 next-gen races. He had a speeding penalty there in the fall that held him back. He just runs good on this style of track. So remember, on the predictor for this week, we didn't just use Phoenix. We used Phoenix, and then we also used a little bit of Richmond, Gateway, and New Hampshire to sprinkle in to get, because we believe those are the other tracks that this race is like. So when you look at those other tracks, that's what brings Logano up higher in the predictor.
I see that. 1 and 2 is a little bit like New Hampshire. 3 and 4 is a little bit like Richmond. Gateway is kind of a mix of the whole setup. I like that. Ross, the boss, in 5th, is the first winner of the championship race, not of the championship 4 at the Cup level. He went to victory lane. I thought it would never happen. It did. I assume that's why you have him 5th. I don't know why we would think he's all of a sudden going to be slow.
He's been top 3 in 3 of the 4 next-gen races at Phoenix, and the other one was the Denny Hamlin situation.
So let's run through these other groups then to try to find some value. Tier 3, Chase Elliott leading Tier 3. We're going to get back to him. Reddick, Bubba, Chase Briscoe, Kyle Busch, Brad Kay. And then we move on to Tier 4. That's where we find Bowman, Preece, Barry, Gregson off that top 10. Busher, after a loose wheel, he's going to be missing a couple pit crew members. Austin Dillon, Ty Gibbs, Daniel Suarez. And then we get farther down. I don't know what to say about it. Cindric, Jones. Man, maybe we should talk about Jones, McDowell, Stenhouse, LaJoy, and so on and so forth. Timms, give me that first little where did your eyebrow twitch when you saw this week's lines? Where did you go?
I liked the Stewart Haas cars, specifically Briscoe and Josh Berry. Briscoe, he ran pretty well last week. I don't know if he got the result that he wanted to, but with Noah finishing 6th, I kind of have some higher hopes going into Phoenix. Briscoe's won there in the past. I think could be a good track for him. And I don't know, it's a short track package. Josh Berry's a short track racer. I think if he's going to have a good run, I think that's it. It just depends if the Stewart Haas cars back up what Noah did last week, in my opinion.
So if you're a Briscoe, Josh Berry guy, let's talk about Predictor. You have them, Berry right there in tier 4. And where's Briscoe? Up 1?
He's 12th.
So let's talk value then, because this is really what we're talking about here, right? So the professor would say that Briscoe is a solid 5 spots ahead of Berry in the Predictor. Briscoe just outside the top 10. Berry kind of just outside the top 15. Now let's talk value, though. Briscoe's a minus money for a top 10, where you can get Berry at dang near 3-1. Like, we see him in 2 and change for a top 10. So Timms, so does that mean you wager it differently, or like do you let the odds sway your betting?
Yeah, the odds kind of swayed the Briscoe. I thought I'd kind of be a sharp on that one, but they kind of beat me to it.
We were talking yesterday as I'm putting this together, and he's like, I'm liking Briscoe top 10. I go minus 135, and Tim's like, ooh.
Yeah.
So there's my point, though. So okay, let's talk about this for the gambler who's tuning in. I agree with everything we've said here. I think it's a great track for Briscoe. I think Briscoe has a good chance of running dang near 10th. I'm having him like 7th to 14th. That's the day he's going to have, in my opinion. Problem is, not minus 135 top 10 money. Nope. You need to get at least plus 150, plus 130, plus 1 something. Last week after qualifying, Denny Hamlin was even money top 10. You know how I know that? Because the chopper texts me and he goes, "What's wrong with Hamlin?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Why? He qualified bad, but he should be okay, I think." And he goes, "He's even money top 10. And then I got that red flashy alert text. And then I got like the Mario Brothers throwing the hammers. So I'm assuming the chop hammered it. So the reason I say that is Briscoe minus 135. I just don't like the value. This isn't a knock on him. This is the books being ahead of us. They're protecting it.
Yeah, I agree. And even all of his matchups are kind of skewed to him too. And what I fear is Fords are pretty good in qualifying, so I don't know if these numbers will necessarily change, but he's a guy I'm looking for definitely after practice and qualifying.
So let's talk practice and qualifying. This is a new short track package. Let's just talk about what's new. There's 3 big changes. The first are those 4 things that touch the surface, those 4 Goodyear tires. We got new Goodyear tires with a lot more rubber on them. It's basically, here's the concept. Normally you have to, if tires run, they either wear, the rubber like wears off like a cheese grater, or they get too hot and they bubble like boiling water and they blister. That's kind of the battle you play. So NASCAR, between the teams being so good, the tire being so big, and all these things, Goodyear has had to like reduce the amount of rubber on these tires because they got too hot and they basically blistered. What NASCAR and Goodyear have done together is they said, all right, remember we put those rain tires on at Wilkesboro and everybody thought it was great? Now, I have an opinion that had nothing to do with the soft tire. I think it was because nobody had ran on the tire before. So I just go ahead and mark me down as I don't think the tire is the answer. I think the unknown of the tire was the answer at North Wilkesboro, but I'm in the minority there. So the concept is that rain tire has big old chunky tread on it that like blows off as you run. It has a ton of grip and it just disappears. Conceptually, not the same, but conceptually that's the tire that we're going to see at Phoenix. A lot more rubber, a lot softer. Hopefully we'll see some wearing. Tires will go away. They'll lose grip. Tires will be of more value. The other 2 things that go with this, a new floor plan you can't see. The whole back half of the floor is different. What you might see is under the rear bumper, there won't be those 4 vertical fences, those 4 vertical strakes that you see on the diffuser. It's way smaller, and it's actually shoved so far up underneath the car, you may see it from the right camera angle, but just walking around the car, you won't see it, and the spoiler's a little bit bigger. There's the overall view is, here's the nickel version. Currently, the next-gen car, when it gets sideways, it loses all its downforce, and you spin out. What this arrow does is as a car gets sideways, it doesn't lose downforce at such a rate, so they're hoping the guys can slip and slide their cars around. Jury's out. What I do know for a fact is there's 50 minutes of practice on Friday. So that's going to allow a lot more information for the predictor post-practice than we normally get.
So are there any bets that we should look at right now and go, have to be made today or before practice?
I believe that if you're in the mid-tier wagers, if you like Hamlin, Chastain, Bell, Truex, I think those high single digits to low double digits, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 to 1 drivers, if that driver is top of the speed charts, those odds will drop dramatically. Timms, what do you think? You watch the odds as well as anybody. Let's take a Truex, for instance, 11 to 1. If Truex blisters every speed chart. Now, listen, I don't think Hamlin and Truex will. They're old drivers. They don't really care about practice. They're going to cruise around, learn what they need to learn. So I'm not as scared about Hamlin and Truex. But let's take Chastain at 10-1. He won the race last year. He's already high in the predictor. He's 10-1. If he goes out and he's like red hot in practice, I don't think you're getting 10-1, Timms.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to use Chastain as an example because I think I had Chandler Smith last week in the Xfinity race, and he was about Chastain's odds this week here at Phoenix, and they dropped to like plus 650 after he qualified well, and that was all that value was gone where I thought I had it. So I totally agree with you, Steve. It's the same. That kind of range is where I'm looking at. Maybe I bet him today, not Sunday.
So I think that's really where you're at. The rest of them, I don't think it matters. Listen, if you're in love with a long shot, take it. You know, there's nothing that's going to – how about this way? There's nothing that Keselowski's going to do to get longer than 25-1. So it's only going to go down. So if you're going to bet a long shot, I would say take it. If you're going to take an absolute monster favorite like Larson, Blaney, Byron, maybe I would wait to make sure they're as good as I thought they were going to be. Larson's odds last week didn't really drop after he was dominant in practice, right?
Nope, and hammered it still.
See? So that's kind of, I think, where we're at in Phoenix. Professor, you're very quiet over there. I don't know what to make of you.
So what about Barry? Would you take Barry now, like the top 10?
I would. I don't think it could get longer.
So, you look at Barry. He ran here last year subbing for Chase, finished top 10. And now he's with Rodney in that SHR car that Kevin Harvick finished top 10 in the last 21 races there. So, I think those combinations, I really like Barry. And short track guy, some stuff changes. Does the changes in the rules help him? Because it makes it a little more even for everybody? I don't know.
Man, please don't call him and give him that pep talk. Hey, man, I'm just letting you know this car ran in the top 10 the last 21 times. Good luck. No pressure. Old coach, professor. Hey, man, the only thing that's changed here is you. Car hasn't been out of the top 10 in about over a decade. I mean, it should go fine, though. Don't worry. Good luck. And then look at him real awkward, like Kramer-like, with this weird stare, like, you. Yeah, we're talking about you.
Are there any qualifying bets that caught your attention?
Well, Joey Logano until further notice. I mean, I don't know.
So at 9-1 for Logano, don't you just have to put something down on him?
I'm going to let the professor speak. Go ahead, professor. Qualifying.
Yeah, I think you have to. He's been, for everybody, he's won 2 of the 3 poles this year. He's been on the front row in all 3 races this year, and he's just good. Like they have qualifying down.
I mean, listen, it's been a Hendrick qualifying for the championship race in Larson and Byron, but I like Logano.
Are there any other Fords that you would look at then, Professor, that kind of people should look out for?
Blaney would be one. 3 of his 9 poles have been at Phoenix, so I like him. But he's less odds, right,
6-1
for qualifying?
Yeah.
So I think your best bet with Logano. So now let's stick with the qualifying here. I think you have to bet on pit box number 1. Whoever gets pit box number 1 should be a must bet to win. You ready? You like that, Stevie, huh? That pit box has won 3 of the last 7 races there. They finished in the top 7 each of the last 17 times. Ready? And the average finish for that box is 5.9 under this configuration. It's the best of every pit box on the schedule. That is the best average of everybody. Every pit box.
What makes this pit box different from other?
2 things. Proximity to the timing line or the timing loop line on pit out is very short at Phoenix. So you could just drop the jack and pull straight out. Second, I would say that Phoenix overall is a harder track to pass than some of the other ones, so therefore track position value is a little bit more. It's an awkward 1-mile track. I think those are the 2 big ones.
So therefore, if you think Logano's going to win and you're going to put some money on him for qualifying, you put a sprinkle on him to win the race then now because those odds are going to drop?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'll just say it. Logano's been he hasn't – when's the last – he only won 1 race last year, right?
And it was early, right?
I think
And it was a
like,
speedway race.
Yeah, I think it's been like 30-something races.
It was
I thought I saw like
Atlanta.
34 races or something.
So,
Yeah.
and I hate to say this because I like Logano, but until I see more out of the 22 than qualifying, I'm fade Logano in the race for the win. I'm not saying he's not going to run good. Actually, I would say the opposite. That I think he finishes better than how he should. If you look at raw speed, I'm like, man, that car shouldn't finish where it does. So they blue collar their way into some great races. But there's too much firepower. You're not going to blue collar your way in front of Larson, Blaney, Byron, Hamlin, Chastain. I mean, there you go. Which one of those 5 can he outrun consistently? Timms, look, I can't even get you there, can I?
No, because I don't even think he can outrun his own teammate Blaney. I mean, Blaney got better the whole race in Vegas. Finished what, 3rd, 4th? I mean, Logano backed his way into a top 10, I think, if that. So,
get ready, North Carolina. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, is launching soon, and just in time for the biggest college basketball tournament of the year. Right now, you can get $100 in bonus bets just for signing up before March 11th. Just go to FanDuel.com/dough and join today. Then you'll be all set to bet when FanDuel is officially live. Soon, you'll finally be able to bet on all of your favorite teams in all of your favorite sports. From parlays to prop bets and boxing to basketball, FanDuel has it all. So head to FanDuel.com/dough, DOUGH, to sign up and lock in $100 in bonus bets now. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Availability subject to regulatory approval. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Bonus bets are issued in non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 30 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in North Carolina. Unique user identity verification required. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. All right, let's jump right in. What do we like? We like some matchups?
So I have one matchup right now, and I know he's dead to you, but Bowman versus Gibbs. Bowman has plus money against Gibbs. Bowman's plus 115 versus Gibbs. Gibbs is minus 150.
You're baiting on a Gibbs DNF because there's no chance Bowman outruns him on speed. Is that fair, Professor, from what we've seen out of Bowman? Now, look, the light might come on for Bowman all of a sudden. But until it does, I have to go off recent performances. I can't go off from hopes.
And Bowman has one top 10 finish at Phoenix since he had his Dale Jr. sub super race. One top 10.
So I actually think there's a team head-to-head that's the best bet on the board. And the data won't support this because there's not enough data. Timms knows where I'm going already.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you highlighted the box.
yeah. I was looking
forget
at it.
you guys could see this.
I was looking at it before.
Spire versus front row. Front row's the favorite. Spire's the dog. There's a lot of unknowns here. But if I just look at the raw speed of the 7 and the 77 last week, and if I just equate that to new building, 100-plus employees, new finances, they got sponsors on the car, then I think they should outrun front row. Or let me rephrase this. I think they have a chance of outrunning front row. Professor, do you think I'm crazy?
No, I think you're spot on. And their speed last week was legit. Like if you looked at all the charts and lap times, Spire was a top 10 team. Like even the 71 you missed.
Corey made an overdriving mistake, and that's going to be the next step for Corey. Is he obviously can drive because you can't be that fast and do what he did, but he basically wrecked on his own. Brad was right up his bumper, but I'm sure his car was falling off, not driving good. The hardest thing is to just say, hey man, we're just going to lose spots here. And there's nothing I can do about it. I think that's the hardest thing for a race car driver to do. But it's kind of like playing golf, right? You fired in the woods, so you couldn't hit a 60-yard fairway. So now you're going to hit this through the eye of a needle between 6 trees over it. Like just punch it back out into play and keep going. Don't try to pull off. Don't think all of a sudden you're Tiger Woods. I mean, you're in the woods. You didn't Tiger Woods your way into the woods.
There's a window. I got to go for the window.
See? There you go. All right, let's talk other head-to-head. So I like the team head-to-head. Down the line of team head-to-head, HMS, JGR, no thanks. SHR, RFK. I don't know. I'm a little scared of that one, too. 2311 and RCR. 2311 is the big favorite, which I think they should be. And I'm scared enough of Kyle Busch that I wouldn't take that one. All right, let's go regular head-to-heads. Blaney, Chastain, no thanks. Hamlin, Elliott. Not with Hamlin being minus a bazillion. Busch, Bell. Remember, Bell exploded the rotor, but wasn't running great. That's an interesting one with Busch being the dog. The professor has them in the same tier. Well, not quite. Bell's a tier ahead. Hamlin, Bell, Logano, Bell. I'm looking down here. So you say you like one. What do you like? You like Blaney, Larson, huh?
I like Blaney, Larson, yeah, just because Blaney's even money, and I think it's a tough one that you're basically fighting for a top 3 here. But plus money with Blaney, I'd take my shot.
So I think anytime you take a driver in the same tier for plus money, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
All right, because, look, Larson could win the race, but these guys can run second and third. Larson could get in a wreck or break, and it's automatic win.
Yeah.
So anytime you're looking at literally dead even money, plus 100, I don't think you're wrong there. I think anybody in the same tier, which Blaney and Larson are in the same tier, so if you can get even money, I like your thoughts there. That's a good point.
Now, Stevie, would you say that Penske is better or more even to Hendrick on this style of track versus the mile and a halves?
I would say Penske's best car and Hendrick's best car is close, but Hendrick's second, third, and fourth car are as good or better than Penske's second and third car, so it's a numbers game.
Okay.
For instance, I think it is a great battle between Blaney and Larson, but it's also a great battle between Blaney and Byron. And it's like, how about this? If you said, hey, man, average finish of their best 3 cars, I would take Hendrick. I just think they have more bullets in the gun. I don't think they're overall better. This could easily be a Blaney-Logano race. I would actually say, of all the tracks, Blaney looked really good here. So,
what about Elliott versus Gibbs?
Man.
Are you just too gun shy because with Chase to recommend that?
The numbers say it's Chase Elliott.
By how much?
By a lot.
It's minus 120 too much for you, Timms?
Yeah, it's tough because I just need to see more consistency. It's 3 races in, and 2 of them were speedways. I get it, but I just kind of want to see Chase rattle off some top 10s and be consistent again before I play him in anything. I've been fading him in matchups all year, so it's worked out pretty well for me so far. So,
I mean, listen, I'm of the same opinion. So we try to make these numbers not off emotion, and the simple fact is that I think Ty Gibbs is on an upward trend, and I think Elliott has been flat. I don't think he's getting worse, but he's just been kind of on a flat trend. So I just don't know where those are going to cross track by track by track.
Timms, do you want to? So Timms won last week on our head-to-head, so he's now 2-1.
yeah.
I should pick these head-to-heads because you guys can't make up your own.
Go ahead, you can. It's your show.
Yeah, he told us that last week.
I was looking down Tim's sheet though. We didn't get to his groups. You like Group C?
We can get to the groups.
Yeah, let's talk Group C. Briscoe, Brad K, Bubba, Bowman. That the one you're talking about? No, you're talking Logano, Gibbs, Reddick, Elliott.
Yeah, that one. I liked Reddick in that one. I mean, plus 260. I think I'm banking on Logano probably not to have a great race, but I liked Reddick last week.
Is Reddick's pit crew going to show up?
That's the thing.
Look, his pit crew is not that bad. The guy didn't run outside the top 10 for 15 laps. Are they good? No. Were they as good as the 5? No. But they weren't awful.
But they weren't great.
Yeah, and complaining about him is great motivation to speed him up, let me tell you.
But hold on a second. We're hiring former athletes, and we're are we going to treat the pit crew like athletes? We're going to treat them like they're 5th graders playing T-ball.
No, treat them like athletes, but do it in the meetings or at the building or go to pit practice. I wouldn't do it over the mic in the media. How many quarterbacks get out and say, if my line could only block?
How many quarterbacks get interviewed after a loss right out on the field?
Me and you are split on this one. Grow up, man.
Wait, who are you talking about?
Reddick.
Well, okay.
Go ahead.
Like, Larson beat him by 5 seconds total in the last 2 pit stops of the race.
In the pit box?
Yes.
I take back my statement. That's awful.
Yeah. The green flag stop really killed him. It was 4 seconds longer than Larson's. That's why when they cycled back out, like, they were nowhere even close to each other.
I couldn't tell. I was watching. I had no idea that happened.
Like,
So,
all right, so I take that back, Reddick. Lose your mind. 5 seconds is unacceptable. I thought it was a lot closer than that.
2 seconds, you can't yell at them in the media.
No,
5
that's
seconds.
no. I'm going to be serious. If you come down pit road under yellow and you lose a spot or two, man, I'm not saying you should be happy, but go work on that in practice. But 5 seconds, 4 seconds on a green flag pit stop, better than Chris Buescher. His wheel fell off. And Bubba Wallace's wheel wouldn't come off. Talk about a turn of events.
What is that group, if you put those 4 in to your tool, what does it say? Let's see if we can
Hold
help
on a
Tim's out.
second. If we're talking Logano, Gibbs, Reddick, Elliott,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that it says Logano first, Elliott second.
they are the top 2, chased by a little bit.
His other group bet is Elliott, Gibbs, Reddick, Buescher, taking Logano out. Maybe that's the group that he should go towards.
Nope, because that says Buescher's better.
All right, well, do with that as you will, Tim's.
So fade Reddick, basically, is what.
No, we're not saying you're wrong.
No.
We're just saying the stats say you're crazy.
Yeah. Now, Reddick's been set third in both of the last 2 spring races at Phoenix.
All we're saying is if you make that bet and you come back next week, you can't yell at Professor.
Yeah.
Here's the bet you guys have to pick on today. It's as simple as this. Winning car number, odd or even. Tim's is up 2-1 on Trav. So, Trav, you get to go first. You want odd or even?
Give me odd.
I'll take even.
I would have took even.
Well, you have to take
3
even.
of the first.
I took odd.
All right, let's
Oh,
talk
3 of
about
the first
this.
4.
Winning car numbers, nothing there really excites me unless I miss something. Car number we just talked about, that's a coin flip. Drivers to lead a lap. This one had my interest. Over, under 7.5. Now, this is any lap. This is under yellow. This is in a pit cycle. We haven't seen a lot of green flag pit cycles there. I don't expect to see them again. I think that 7.5 is a really good line. Professor's going to tell me that the average there is like 6 point something or 7 point something.
It's right about 7.
So I'm of the opinion with the cars that are currently qualifying well, say we take a Logano pole, that's a lap led. Blaney's going to lead a lap. I'm going to take over 7.5. God, now I'm going to argue the other way, though, because if the tires are soft and you take 4 tires every time, it's going to be under.
Yeah,
That's a great line.
And
Man,
this
that's a great
traditionally
line.
has been a track where one guy has led a bunch of laps.
Well, let's move on down then. A bunch. Would you say the bunch should be over under 150.5?
The averages would say in this next gen car, absolutely over.
I'm over, too. Tim's like the over. I like the over.
This prop actually it sways my opinion on the drivers to lead a lap because if they lead a lot of laps, I don't think there's a lot of caution.
Not a lot of option.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I'm avoiding the lead a lap, or I would go under. Lead lap finish. This is interesting because last week the field was as close as I've ever seen it. They ran green the whole second stage, and they were lapping like 26th or 27th. That used to be like 18th or 19th at a 1.5-mile track. So now the question is, drivers on the lead lap at Phoenix. It's a smaller track. It's 1 mile. You know, what are the stage lengths? Because that makes a little bit of a difference. But, man, 23.5. I want to say, here's why I want to say over. I want to say over because if you get a bunch of yellows late, you're going to have so many wave buys and free passes, and I think it will get under 23.5 at some point during the race, but I think it will finish with the over being a bunch of cars getting back on the lead lap in the closing laps.
Both races were 24 last year.
I'm taking the over. I'm sticking with the trend. I think the field is deeper. So, I just think that there are the front cars are always fast, but the worst 15 cars are faster than they were last year. And they're more put together. Better pit crews, better money, ready to go. I just think I like the over. Number of lead changes, 17.5. That seems high.
It was 18 and 10 last year. So
yeah, I mean, listen, if you're gonna have a guy lead over 150 laps, you're not gonna have a lot of lead changes. The only way you're gonna get some lead changes. The other thing is where's the start-finish line relative to pit road?
Like the last 5 or 6 boxes are on the other side of it.
Let's see what else. Lead changes. Fords here's an interesting one we talk about all the time. Number of Fords inside the top 10. The predictor has 1, 2, 2 in the top 10, 3 in the top 13. So at 3.5, the professor would say the under, which is the dog at even money. So per the professor, that's a great bet. I have to agree.
I agree, too.
I love the under. Actually, I think the odds are wrong on that. I think the odds should be flipped.
I think the number should be 2.5.
I agree. Odds make sense at 2.5.
Yeah, I couldn't see 4.
I mean, who's your fourth Ford? You get a couple Penske cars for sure, and let's throw an RFK or an SHR.
I can confirm that my Excel sheet is correct. Those numbers are accurate.
You're telling me that they say over 3.5 Fords is minus 130, but over 3.5 Chevrolets is plus?
Yep.
Oof. The siren's going off.
I like under on Fords, over on Chevys, and over on Toyotas. But I'm not playing minus 250 on Toyotas. That's a bad line. I mean, 250 at minus. I mean, come on, man. There's not going to be under 2.5, 3.
No.
I mean, you almost have to take under 2.5 just for 200 plus 200 and see if you get lucky.
Yeah.
Because I could see that you have a. I mean, I could easily see 2 Gibbs cars being inside or 1 Gibbs and 1 yeah, it's going to be close. The problem is you can't go 3.5 Toyotas because then you hammer the under.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to get 4 in there. All right. Anything else? There's a whole bunch of crazy props out here. Any of the things you love? Double top 10s, Blaney Larson, minus 135.
There was one on FanDuel that I thought was interesting and maybe worth a sprinkle. Byron to win. It's crazy odds. That's why it's kind of worth looking at. Byron to win, Blaney top 3, and Kyle Busch top 10 plus 3,100.
Byron to win, Blaney top 3, Busch top 10.
And if you take them all separately, this is far better odds. But they all have to hit.
That's like a $5 just because the story is going to be so awesome on social after.
Yes,
so it would have hit last year.
It would have hit in the spring, right?
Yeah.
What else you got? You got anything else? Let's talk about our fantasy folks. We've ignored our fantasy folks so far.
I first need to thank you, Steve. I had my lineup set, and then you put out your tweet on Sunday, and I made some adjustments to your lineup, and I came in first place for the second consecutive week at Dirty Mo Media.
Thanks for the invite to the league. I mean, I'm right here, guys. I'm right here. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Your internet must have not been working when you went to send that text.
We've made a rule that the loser each week has to bring a 6-pack of their choosing into the office, and it's there in the beer fridge.
Love that. Well, let's talk about this then. I mean, right now, I'm literally going straight off the predictor. Like, if you're in the NASCAR Fantasy League, I'm going Blaney, Byron, Larson, Logano, Chastain. No, I'm not. I'm going Blaney, Byron, Larson, Chastain. I'm not taking Logano. I am probably going to take because in the NASCAR league you only get 10 starts. I am probably going to take a I don't know what I would take. Probably a Truex, and then put like a Briscoe in the garage, and that way if Briscoe's having a great day, I can get the points on him and not burn my start of Truex. You like that, Professor? You're getting me a little
Yeah, I
nod.
do like that.
Well, let's talk about some value drivers that daily fantasy might overlook. Carson Hocevar is absolutely got to be one.
Josh Berry.
Josh Berry might be overlooked. Why do I want to say Stenhouse runs better at Phoenix than we're giving him credit for? Because he doesn't? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. This is what you said last year, too.
I know. I keep wanting him to run. He must have ran good one time, and I remember it. Ty Gibbs is probably overlooked. Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon runs well out there. Do you agree with that? Obviously not. You have him 21st in the predictor.
He doesn't run terrible.
I think the trick to your daily fantasy is going to be the group 4 and 5 drivers, and that is Bowman, Priest, Berry, Gregson, Busher, Dillon, Gibbs, Suarez. And I think you have to watch practice and see what's better of the group. But here's what happens in daily fantasy. It's really simple. You can't waste your money on a Blaney, Byron, Larson, Logano without having a monster day, leading a bunch of laps, running fast, and winning the race. If you miss the race winner, it's game over. You don't have a chance. Then you win your matchups by getting that tier 3 and 4 groups. You know, Chase, Reddick, Wallace, Briscoe. I think Briscoe might not. Well, here's the thing. It'll be interesting to see if the daily fantasy, who are the same companies that we're looking at on the sports book, if they love Briscoe as much. You know, Briscoe should be like a $7,500 driver in daily fantasy, but they're going to have him up in the 8s by looking at his odds to win. So you might have to fade him just because he's too expensive.
Do we have any Xfinity thoughts?
Oh, let's talk about some Xfinity. Big news. William Byron in the Xfinity Series race running the 17 Hendrick Motorsports entry. That is listed under Hendrick this year?
It has been, yeah. It hasn't won
He's
yet.
obviously the monster favorite, minus money to win. Oh, no, he's 3-1 to win. Sorry, 3-1 to win, minus money, top 3. William Byron, then we have Allgaier, Nemechek, Chandler Smith, Custer, Sammy Smith, Creed, Herbst, Almirola. I talked about Almirola last week. Hell, I looked at the rundown. I didn't think he was in the race. I had to text Professor, be like, did Almirola did he wreck or something? He goes, no, he's 21st or whatever he was. I was like, oh, boy, I didn't even scroll down that far.
No, really what you said to me was, hey, we really screwed up this week. Almirola's not even in this race.
Yeah, I'm like, he ain't even in it. Well, guess what? He might have been in it, but I was right. He wasn't in it. All right, what do we got this week? Come on, Professor. Give me something.
Well, it's hard not to go against Byron, but there's so many, like those favorites. Like Byron, he won his last time he ran there, which was at 17. But that 17 car has not won one yet. So I think it's just a matter of time of winning. So that's the reason that's the favorite. Allgaier's leads like every category at Phoenix and Xfinity. He's won there twice. Nemechek, after last week, it's hard to bet against him. Chandler Smith's good there. Custer's really good there. You know, then you go to Sammy Smith. He won there last year. And Creed's been good there, and Gibbs is really good there. So I don't know what to say.
All right, it's a big week, guys. Monday, North Carolina is legal in the books. March Madness right around the corner. But this week, it's NASCAR out at Phoenix. Get all your bets in. Good luck, and may your bets pay off.